Hi, I'm Caroline Keeson, the Monitoring Programs Coordinator at Tip of the Mitt Watershed Council. Today, I'm going to show you how to monitor a lake for water quality and chlorophyll A. Our lake monitors have been going out to inland lakes for over 30 years. The data they collect allows us to assess lakes from year to year and over time. Before you go out on your lake to get your sample, make sure that you're aware of weather conditions, other boats, and wildlife. Make sure that your boat or kayak is in good working condition and that you have a life jacket. Next, I'm going to show you the equipment you'll use to get your lake sample. This is a Secchi disc attached to a tape measure or a rope marked with feet. You should also have a chlorophyll A sampler, which is a weighted amber bottle attached to the same rope or tape measure as your Secchi disc. Last, you'll have a 60 milliliter syringe and a filter holder to filter the chlorophyll A sample. Take the water sample in the deepest part of the lake. When you get to this spot, start by filling out your data sheet. Write down the lake name, the lake basin, the date, the time, weather conditions, and your full name. Fill out the water temperature and air temperature. Also write down how much water you are planning to filter in your chlorophyll A sample. Most lakes will be filtering 60 milliliters. Some lakes that are very clear will have to filter more. You'll be told ahead of time how much water to filter. Take your Secchi disc reading on the shady side of the boat. If you're going to use sunglasses, make sure that you use them every time you take your Secchi disc reading throughout the summer. Make sure that your Secchi disc is still securely attached to the tape measure. Start by lowering it over the side of the boat. Lower the disc until it disappears. Make note of the depth on the tape measure at the surface of the water, not where you're holding the tape. So here it's at 5 feet. Continue lowering the Secchi disc a few more feet and then bring it back up to the point at which you can see it again. Here it's at 6 feet. We add those two measurements together and divide by 2 to get the average, which is 5.5. That's the Secchi disc reading here, and that's what I'll write on the data sheet. Now we're going to take our chlorophyll A sample. We're going to take the chlorophyll A sample twice the depth of the Secchi disc. So our Secchi disc reading was 5.5 feet, so I've measured out 11 feet on my tape. After you measure it out, make sure that you rinse out your sample bottle twice with lake water. You can put your sampler in the water, lower it at a constant rate down to the depth at which you marked out on the tape. Immediately raise it back up at the same rate that you lowered it at. You want to make sure that you have a little bit of room left in your bottle. Half full is great. Make sure you put your water sample in a cooler full of ice for the ride back to your house before you filter the sample. Now that you've cleaned all of your equipment with the sample water, now that you've rinsed it, you're going to filter the actual sample water. I'm using some water that I've dyed blue so that you can see it easier. So you're going to dump your actual sample into a bowl that you've already rinsed twice. Okay, there's the sample. You're going to prepare your filter and filter holder. So using forceps, take a filter and put it right on this little screen. Put the O-ring on top of it, also with the forceps. And then go ahead and screw on the top of the filter holder. Okay, you can set that aside. And now you're going to get the sample water into the syringe. So just put this together and then pull up the plunger. And you want 60 milliliters. Okay, so the top of the water should be at 60 milliliters. And then you're going to attach this back to the filter holder. Now, I would recommend making sure that the water that's coming out of the syringe is going into a different container than the one it came out of, in case you have to do a second filtration. So just press the plunger. Should go through the filter. Now that you have gotten all the water out of your syringe, it's gone all the way through the filter, you're going to untwist the syringe from the filter holder, untwist the filter holder itself, and you'll take off the O-ring if it's still on there. It might have come off already. Remember to use the forceps, and then you'll gently lift the filter off with your forceps. And then you're going to put it in your test tube. So this protects it from the light. So you just put it right in there, put a cap on it, twist it on. You should have some pre-made labels with the date and your lake on them. Put the label on the container and then you cover it in tin foil. And then you just stick this in a little snack bag. And this stays in your freezer until you take all your samples back to the Watershed Council in September or October. So by the end of the season, you should have about 6 of these. Some lakes will have more if they have to sample more water, and you'll be told that beforehand. Remember, when you're going out lake monitoring, try to go out in the middle of the day. Take your Secchi disc readings once a week. If you can't do once a week, we need at least twice each month to create a data trend analysis. For chlorophyll A samples, they can be done every other week, and make sure that the sample is kept cold while you're monitoring, and that while you're filtering, you're in a darkened room. After you're done filtering, everything should be put in the freezer until you return it to the Watershed Council. And remember, please put your name on your data sheet. Thanks to all of our volunteers for helping us collect data over the years. We're thankful that you can help us protect lakes in northern Michigan.